So here's a message to Louis Vuitton, Prada, Gucci, and every company that's claiming that China's lying about manufacturing everything in China for you. Prove it to the consumer. Walk into your factory in France and show us a massive factory with hundreds of workers, if not thousands, and show us that they're all starting from the beginning process, okay? Meaning from the very beginning, from the first stitch, from the first cut of cloth or leather. Show us.
When Trump made this speech the other night about all these world leaders coming to kiss his ass, made me embarrassed to be an American citizen.
Tesla pays $323 million a year in taxes to China for its Chinese plant. They pay $0 in United States taxes for their operations in the United States. But yet somehow, the single mother on food stamps is still the enemy.
You remember when Chinese netizens on Xiaohongshu told Americans that the reason why they're so obsessed with freedom of speech is because they don't have the privilege and the ability to make choices and decisions for themselves? Because this makes me think about the rise of the far-right movement.
They rob you blind and you thank them for it. That's a tragedy. That's a scam. That's why I'm saying this right now. Americans, you don't need a tariff. You need a revolution. For decades, your government and oligarchs won't ship your job to China. Not for diplomacy, not for peace, but to exploit cheap laborers. And in the process, they hollowed out your middle class, crashed your working class, and told you to be proud while they sold your future for profit.
What is China teaching us? They are teaching us that when you know your value, when you know your worth, when you know that you are the real MVP, you don't have to go to war. All you have to do is speak the truth. Tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, and the truth will go to war for you. We better learn from China.
China just had the most unhinged response to Trump's tariffs, and I guess the Chinese government has our best interest at mind more than our own government does. So China has responded not with hostility towards American citizens.
Guys, the peasants have responded in kind with an instant tax refund policy for foreign travelers. Is China treating us better than our own country? When you shop in China, you're going to get 13% back instantly.
And so what this means is, let's say you'd pay $100 for goods here in the United States, Chinese goods. With a 145% tariff on that, now all in, you're in for $245. Or you could just go to China, go shopping, and then with the instant refund, only pay $80 for $100 worth of goods. What we're seeing here is China is really starting to open up to the world and focus on making their country very tourism friendly. And basically with this whole thing, they used to have a tax refund situation before, but they're just looking to make it much easier, and you would get the refund instantly at the store instead of at the airport on your way out.
You may have missed it, but President Trump's tariffs are coming for your small Shein or Temu orders and all those direct-to-consumer handbags and Tide Pods you're currently buying from China. It's all changing in the next few weeks, and it's very likely that you're the one who's ultimately going to have to pay for it. So let me explain what's going on. Those items are considered imports because, of course, they are not made in, nor do they originate from the United States. They're coming in from another country, right? Well, as we have all become very aware recently, imports are subject to tariffs, except you may have noticed that in the past, the items you've ordered from places like Shein or Temu and DHgate for yourself or your home or your small business don't normally get hit with those tariffs. Now, that's not a mistake. That's actually because Congress exempted certain imports under what's called the de minimis tax exemption. As of 2015, Congress amended the Tariff Act of 1930 to say imports that have a value of less than $800 can be exempt from certain duties, fees, tariffs, and other taxes. Why? Well, the logic is if Customs and Border Protection is having to go through your silly little $50 Shein order trying to collect a minuscule tariff on that, they're taking time and resources away from monitoring what's coming into the United States on those huge cargo shipping containers. So for almost a decade, the U.S. government has said if the package has a value of less than $800, it's just not worth our time. And we all know because of that de minimis exemption, lots of small businesses and everyday Americans have been able to benefit by getting access to cheaper products from overseas. Well, as I said, that's about to end.
Yeah, the man from China that was showing us where the handbags come from, you know, the main guy, his account's been bananas. Sin bags too. Yup. And I'm wondering if this is going to start happening to a lot of these manufacturers that we are seeing come up on this app and give us all the tea about where to buy direct. Because this is the second one I've seen. I can't remember the name of the other person because I was going through my following list and unfollowing certain accounts that are not active or that have been, you know what I mean. So for this to happen, and we should have known it was coming. Like, honestly, we should have known because they weren't going to sit here and just let us get all this information straight from the source. They already don't want us on this app learning anything about what's going on in other countries or what the media is not showing us. And I'm kind of upset, though. I'm kind of upset that his account was bananaed. I certainly hope he appeals it. I certainly hope he gets his account back because people were following. They were getting all the tea, honey. They were putting in the orders, doing what they needed to do. So this is unfortunate, and I don't feel like it's the first that we're going to see. I feel like it's going to keep on happening. So keep an eye out for these accounts, y'all.
There are a lot of countries, including the US, now banning and blocking Chinese manufacturer websites. So a lot of people can't access it. So I'm going to teach you how to get to them without having to go through the traditional web. Number one, download this app. Number two, once you've downloaded it and set it up, go down to Discover, then go to Channel. Once you're in Channels, go to the search bar in the top, then type Chinese manufacturers. And voila, you'll see a bunch of them. Then you don't have to go through their websites. They'll give their WeChat out, and then you can just directly contact them on WeChat. Enjoy.
I feel like we're all kind of missing the lesson that China is teaching us on how to deal with a narcissist.
Question now is, can there be a deal with China?
Practically begging for negotiation, saying China wants a deal. He wants to hear from China.
I'm confused. Is it China who wants the deal? Or is it you realizing you done fucked up?
The Chinese government has not reached out. There's been simply no response.
And I'm glad China's not reaching out, because how the fuck do you try to bully somebody and be a narcissist and want them to respond positively to you? Bitch, fuck you.
And President Trump is calling President Xi his friend, but right now his friend is not picking up the phone.
So he thought he was going to gaslight Xi into answering his phone and now saying, but he's my friend. We ain't friends and we ain't enemies, but you'll be all right. And I have to say that I am loving how they have executed every single strategy beautifully when handling Donald Dick. And now I need other countries to follow suit with Mexico, Canada, and China, because this trash-ass administration has been doing too much bullshit in such a short time.
Many feel that China should just kiss the ring, so to speak. Just give up. Submit to the mighty USA. Just like what Japan did in the 80s and 90s when it became a threat to the hegemony of the mighty USA. But let me assure you, that's not going to happen. Because unlike Japan, China suffered greatly under the former colonial powers. Take, for example, the former British Empire that was in a trade deficit with China. The former British Empire was basically buying more than it was selling to China. A case of supply and demand, of mainly tea and porcelain. The problem was the British Empire, just like the USA today, did not like that. Even making claims that China was stealing their stuff, namely their wealth. So, the then British Empire instigated a Cold War, if you like, by becoming drug dealers. That's right, drug dealers, in this case opium, which they grew in their colony of India, and smuggled it into China, hence causing a drug epidemic all over China. Naturally, China wasn't happy about that, and it asked politely, given the strength of the British Empire, to stop it. But the then British Empire said no. We're not going to stop it. In fact, we're going to escalate it, leaving China no choice but to start getting rid of this stuff that was killing the people of China. And in order to protect its drug dealership, the British Empire then declared war on China, killing many, many thousands, which resulted in the loss of Chinese territory, including Hong Kong. And that basically was the start of the humiliation of China by the former colonial powers. So given the devastating humiliation of China, let me assure you once more, China is not going to kiss the ring of the mafia.
I hope America wins. You know why? Because I moved here for the American dream. I love it here. I love its people. I love its craziness. I know you guys are crazy, but I love it. My kids are born here. I love working here. I love learning the cultural and experiencing the culture here. But it's sad to see the sadness, see it's declining. And there's so many idiots out there that doesn't understand what's going on. And I'm sorry, not all of you are like that, because there are many very hardworking, intelligent people, but your voice are not being heard. And if it takes a goddamn Chinese to unite you all, to make America great again, then so be it. You have to understand, it's not just one country winning this. The world is connected. It's a win-win situation, and we need to understand that. So, I hope it does. I hope America wins.
I can tell you why the trade war with China will ultimately fail for the U.S. Period. Because Trump is ignorant of the history of the Chinese people. China suffered 100 years of domination by Western powers. When the Communist Party took over the country in 1949, they locked the world out to rebuild themselves. And it's taken 75 years to accomplish it. But China will never allow itself to be dominated as a colony the way Trump is trying to do it. When Trump made the speech the other night about all these world leaders coming to kiss his ass, made me embarrassed to be an American citizen. My fear is that the Chinese people will turn their back on America, on the United States. That we will lose an opportunity for the next generation to collaborate not only with China and Europe and Africa, but any major country in the world. And once that trust and camaraderie is lost, very hard to get back. The way Trump has treated every nation in the world is that of a colonial master requiring the subject to bend over and kiss his ring. It's an embarrassment to the U.S. I'm ashamed of what we've come to. And if the American people don't wake up and get rid of this clown, we will never be a major country again.
Just in case you needed a reminder today, we're dealing with people who are celebrating the fact that their president is making everything more expensive with tariffs. They're celebrating it. They think they're winning. There's no point in arguing with pigs. They just get down and dirty and roll in the mud. And that's where they'll take you. Stay strong, elbows up.
I came to the States to study computer science, and then I don't know what gets into me, and I thought what America need is another lawyer. So I went to law school, become an attorney, and then I don't know what gets into me, and I thought what America need is a Chinese comedian, a Chinese telling jokes. But then, since American was getting so much false information about China, where I'm from, so before I can tell any jokes, I have to set the record straight. So I was seriously telling a little bit about China, the factual situation about China, most of the time before I can even tell a joke. And I think that's very funny.
At this point, I'm convinced that at least the stated reasons for concern of members of Congress about TikTok and the Chinese government possibly manipulating the algorithm and flooding us with quote unquote Chinese propaganda is true. That's true. The amount of Chinese manufacturers and their TikToks in English that I've seen this weekend, pulling back the curtain on luxury brands, how they're actually made, where they're actually made, what the materials actually are, what the cost to make these items actually is. My FYP has been flooded with that stuff. I mean, my FYP has been flooded with videos of Chinese electric cars and showing their far superiority to Teslas. So that didn't happen out of nowhere. And, so, okay. But, I think in President Xi of China, Donald Trump has finally found someone for whom Donald Trump's bullshit and bluster just simply have no effect. China's not going to back down on this war. They've matched Trump's tariffs pretty much dollar for dollar. And it's being reported, what's the date on this? Today, Sunday the 13th of April, that China has suspended exports to the United States of certain rare earth minerals and magnets that are crucial for the world's auto, semiconductor, and aerospace industries. China has suspended these exports to semiconductor companies and military contractors. Oh, not just the United States, around the world. Shipments that are essential for assembling everything from cars and drones and robots and missiles have been halted at many Chinese ports while the Chinese government drafts a new regulatory system. Once in place, the new system could permanently prevent these kinds of supplies from reaching certain companies, including American military contractors. Yeah. On April 4th, the Chinese government ordered restrictions on the export of 6 heavy rare earth metals, which are refined entirely within China, as well as rare earth magnets, 90% of which are produced in China. The metals and special magnets made with them can now be shipped out of China only with special export licenses. Interesting. So, I've seen a lot of Chinese people and Americans of Chinese descent discussing kind of like the cultural impact of this within China. And I've seen some of the statements from President Xi, and Donald Trump just keeps saying, I'm waiting for him to call me. I'm waiting for him to call me. He is not going to call you, Donald. He is not going to call you. You started a trade war. You did this to them, and they're going to finish it. And they're going to humiliate you on the global stage. They're going to make you look to the rest of the world as weak and feckless and dumb and misguided and unguided as you actually are. Because I saw other reporting this morning. Where was that article? There was an article in Politico this morning that said White House insiders who surround Donald Trump reportedly have no idea what his end game is with this whole tariffs thing. It's like, if you're talking about bringing back American manufacturing, I mean, China is not operating on the cycle that we do with midterm elections every 2 years, presidential elections every 4 years, House, Senate, President. They don't have that cycle in China. So it's like, it would take a decade. If a company decided today they were going to relocate their manufacturing to the United States, it would take a decade for that to happen. You know, Trump's going to be gone in less than 4 years. So that's never going to happen. And he's like, he wants to equal out trade imbalances. Nobody surrounding him in the White House knows why he's doing this and what his definition of victory is. He doesn't even know what his definition of victory is here. And he's going to destroy the American economy. He's destroyed the faith and trust in the United States economy and investment world. That's going to take a decade or more to get back. And he did that in less than 2 weeks. Anyway, have a good Sunday.
I don't know what it's like to be in a coma, but I think I now understand. Why? Well, imagine being asleep for days, weeks, months, even years, and suddenly waking up and discovering what you once knew is no longer the case. What you thought was the truth, black and white, day and night, is no longer the case. And that sums up the citizens of the Western world. They are discovering for the first time, waking up from that coma, if you like, what the rest of us already knew. Yes, the new world order has arrived.
What a conclusive statement. I've never heard something as beautiful as this. Yeah. So let me tell you, Americans watching this video, you should know this. And I know this should be common knowledge by the fact that things are happening and they are revealing who your country is, who your leaders are. You know what you need? I want to echo what this man from China said. What you need is a revolution, not tax, not tariffs, not more money. Because this is what you keep showing us. We are the richest country in the world. We have the greatest economy in the world. We are. So this greatness, it is something to work for. It is not something that you earn by suppressing other countries and subdue them to you. So greatness is achieved through hard work. And you can see how Chinese, through hard work, has been able to isolate themselves. You say they're communists, they separate themselves from others, they have no freedom of speech, but do you see where their freedom inside? Yeah, because freedom has to come from what you build inside, not from outside. You know, these pictures that you've been showing us about American greatness, and like right now the world is more aware. So it's good for you and it will be liberating for you. I'm seeing that so many Americans are stressed about what is happening right now, but a liberating truth for you will be for you to stand for the truth and to convince yourself that you are not the greatest, but you can still work toward that greatness, because there was a time that you used to be great. I was born just yesterday, so I don't know when and how that greatness happened and how it appeared and how it was achieved, but I just want to tell you that there is a possibility for you to be great, the greatness that you can be proud of, not the greatness that when you speak about, everyone is hurt. Everyone thinks about what you're doing in their different countries. No, the greatness that you work for is a greatness that is worth it, and China has shown us that. That's why we are standing for the truth, and it's time that you accept the truth as it is. Thank you for being here. Like, subscribe, share. I share educational videos on my platform. I didn't want to make it a commercial page because there's no one who has paid me to advertise for them after all. So yeah, that's what I wanted to communicate here. Thank you so much.